Today I want to talk about the concept of chemoprotection and this product here, Longevity, an oil capsule from Young Living. Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Minke. This is Minke Wellness. And one of the things about the our common modern world, and the things that everyone is exposed to, common things that we're all exposed to, is that there's a lot of toxicity. And we can't get away from that, right? So this toxicity comes into the system through our food, through our personal care products. Hopefully you're starting to clean up those personal care products. But they're in the air, we breathe them in. So there are things we can't help. There are things we can help, and we should be making those decisions to clean up as much as we can. But then there's things that we have no control over. And well, I say no control. What I mean is it's no immediate control. We all probably should be more politically active, lobbying our Congress and our government to be outraged about certain toxicity in the environment and certain rules that allow spraying and dumping of chemicals and all the rest of this stuff, just because it's someone's bottom line. Again, when we have a government that is influenced heavily by lobbyists, and i.e., money talks, then we don't have a rule of law for the people. We have rule of law for the rich, meaning the corporations, people that are making the money. So anyway, little political aside. But what I mean by that is that we're all in the soup here, right? And we need as much protection as we can get. We need to avoid these chemicals, of course, but we need also to protect ourselves from the damage of those chemicals. And here's where the term chemoprotectant comes in. And I started seeing this for the first time, this in the literature, when I was reading information about essential oils. And I would read about essential oils and how they were studying them in rats and things like that. And they would refer to essential oils as being chemoprotectant. And I was like, what is that? What is that term? And so I started looking into it. And basically what it comes down to at a basic research level is you can find research on, let's say, thyme oil. And what they did was they would give rats a chemical compound that would cause damage. Then they would give the rats, well, that's one group of rats. And then they would give another group of rats that same chemical, but also thyme oil in their diet. And then they would show that the rats that received the thyme oil, their tissue didn't get damaged from the chemical. Even though they both received the chemical, the one that got the thyme oil didn't get damaged. So what we're talking about here is keeping healthy tissue healthy. In other words, healthy tissue in the face of danger, in the face of chemical damage, will get protected with something like thyme oil, for example. Now, there are a lot of essential oils that actually come into this category, and one of the things that I find amazing about Longevity is that all four of these oils, you can find research in all of the oils that are in this compound: frankincense, clove, orange, and thyme, all have documentation that shows that they have some degree of chemoprotectant activity, which means taking this product, it's highly suggestive that this product would help, has every reason to believe in the research, that this product would help keep healthy tissue healthy. Okay, in other words, we're not talking about curing any disease. We're not talking about treating any symptoms or anything else. We're simply talking about keeping healthy tissue healthy, and we're allowed to talk about that and from this FDA compliance environment that we're currently in. So the research is very, very supportive of these statements, and this Longevity capsule is a capsule of essential oil that passes through the stomach and breaks open in the intestine, and that means that those oils go directly to the liver. Well, here we go. Do we need liver protection? Do we? Yes, absolutely is what I'm talking about. And one of the things that people don't think about is like, well, okay, I'm not got a clean diet, and I've cleaned up all my personal care products. Yeah, my liver's good. I don't need to worry. Well, then my question then comes up, and let me look at. I'll show you two simple everyday activities. One, are you anywhere near a road? And okay, so if you are, then you have cars that are driving around you and near you, and if you drive near that. Now, if you're isolated up in the way up and away from civilization using a horse and cart, then fine. You might be okay. But if you're anywhere near cars, for example, then you've got two things that directly come into conflict with your health, and that is the tires wear out, right? Rubber, the little rubber, eventually all these tires, so millions and millions and millions of cars, and all these tires on these cars are wearing out. Their tread is wearing out. Where's it going? What is it? Does it just disappear? No, it turns into little dust particles of rubber, and that rubber dust particle is what's coming in the air. And this is part of this industrial. It's just one of the many thousands of industrial contributions to this industrial smog dust that we get exposed to. The other thing is brake pads. Brake pads wear out, right? They eventually wear out and you have to replace your brake pads. Well, brake pads are typically made out of asbestos or some other type of material. This is not necessarily something you would want to breathe in, but that's what happens because all those turn into dust and go into the air and we end up breathing it. These are just two examples of everyday things, but obviously we have literally tens of thousands of chemicals that are approved for use, or even other things that you don't even think about. Like I said, like the tires or the brake pads, we don't even think about those things. But they are real. It is a reality. It's probably a small contribution, but when you start adding up small contributions and thousands of them, then you get significant effects, and that's what we are seeing. The research shows that from the Environmental Work Group did some research showing that babies are coming in and being born with 300 toxic chemicals already in their system just from the stuff we pick up around us. And that's really a tragic start to life when we've already preloaded the poor little baby's body with all these nasty compounds and chemicals. And that's just, we need to work with that. As we need to do better. Okay, as a culture, as a society, we need to care about ourselves and the next generation, but more, better than that. We just need to take care of that. So you can do your part by, one, getting well, and two, using your dollars to vote for as much green living as you can. And this is why I love essential oils, because when essential oils get grown, when plants for essential oils get grown and then harvested and distilled and then regrown and harvested and distilled, this is an amazing help to the planet. More essential oil production goes into the air. Plants that produce essential oils, they don't just produce the oils just for us when we distill it. Those plants are producing oils all the time, and so it's going out into the air. So the more acreage that's devoted to essential oil production, the more healthy the air is going to get, the more healthy the planet is going to get. So this is a win-win. Contrast that. Let me just go ahead and take a few minutes and contrast that with like the pharmaceutical industry. So pharmaceutical drugs are extremely toxic to manufacture, and then they end up being toxic to our bodies as well. So not only do we toxify the environment by producing and buying and using and buying these pharmaceuticals, but we also are toxifying our internal environment. And you've ever heard of hepatotoxicity, right? In other words, acetaminophen, Tylenol will damage the liver, right? And so, we're just not in the same ballpark when we start talking about using something like essential oils, which have these wonderful properties, and then you've got something like just simple Tylenol that people are giving to their babies, and this has known hepatotoxicity. In fact, there's probably enough Tylenol in the average American's home to kill their entire family if it were to be ingested, in that quantity in that bottle, because it only takes 3 extra strength Tylenols to have a fatal liver toxicity for a toddler. That's 1,500 milligrams. That's just 3 extra strength Tylenols. And if you've got an extra strength Tylenol with 30 capsules in it, that's probably enough to kill your whole family right there. And we don't think about that, but then you got some people out there on the internet talking about, oh, don't ever use essential oils with your baby. We're not sure about whether these essential oils are safe, but go ahead and use the cough syrup and the baby infant Tylenol. I'm like, we're not even. It's so frustrating to see that comparison and have people talk like that are just so ignorant. So anyway, so I'm going to come back to this concept here. What we're talking about is this idea of chemoprotection, okay, and that we need as much protection as we can get in this toxic environment. And I think this longevity capsule is very, very aptly named because longevity, the more toxic we are, the more it erodes our health. And if we had something that could protect health, that keep healthy tissue healthy, that's going to help us live longer. I think that's a very appropriate name, longevity, for this product. So even if you just took one every other day or even one twice a week, that would be one more little protection that you can get. But the thing I also like about essential oils is that there are a lot of the essential oils that actually show this kind of chemoprotection. And so, if you're in an essential oil lifestyle, brushing your teeth, using the shampoo, using the dishwasher soap and the laundry soap, when we're getting little doses of essential oils and they're in the air, we diffuse them in the air, and we're getting a variety of those inputs that could very well be helping us, deal with these chemicals that we are getting exposed with. Now, of course, we want to reduce those chemicals, right? You can't just continue toxifying yourself. So that's remember our wellness strategy. Stop poisoning ourselves, flood the body with nutrients, and manage our stress. Okay. And so if we stop toxifying ourselves, that's great. But if we protect ourselves against the toxins that we know we are getting exposed to, then obviously that helps with the whole situation. Okay, happy wellness. Hope this is helpful information. And keep on keeping on. This is all. I mean, if you want to call it a wellness warrior or whatever, but we're all on the same team here, trying to help move ourselves. And I think if we all work on our own bubble, we talk about these bubbles. Have you heard about this? I got my little bubble. I've been accused of living in a bubble, and I'm like, you know what? If my bubble expands to a few other your bubble, in your bubble, and your bubble, and then we link up and we so our bubble gets bigger, right? And we're already seeing this. You start seeing organic food being sold at Walmart and Sam's Club. So I mean, it's happening. We're doing it. We're making it work. So it's just a matter of keeping on and keep voting with your dollar and keep doing wellness one day at a time. Hang in there. Happy wellness.